Hey Divi Nation, thank you for joining us in this tutorial, and today we will share 10 fluid section background images with you guys, which you can go ahead and download for free in the blog post. I've mentioned it in the description below, and afterwards we'll also show you how you can combine these with Divi's built-in options to create stunning web designs. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so let's start off by taking a look at the end result. So this is what you can expect on desktop. So we have all of these stunning fluid background images which you can use, and you can combine them with different gradient backgrounds and row gradient backgrounds to create the desired end result. So let's switch over to tablet and phone as well so you can see how it looks when you view it from a different screen size. So this is what you can expect on tablet. And this is the end result on phone. So the first thing you will need to do is go to the blog post. I've mentioned it in the description below, where you can go ahead and download all of the fluent section background images. And once you do, you'll get a zip folder, and start off by unzipping that folder right away. And once you do, you will see 10 different fluid background images. Actually, there are 11, but 2 of them are part of the same design. So these are the fluid background images that you get for free. You're free to use them for any kind of website you build without any restrictions. So make sure that you have these images close by. And the next thing you will need to do is go to your WordPress website. And over here, start off by creating a new page by going to Pages, Add New. Give your page a title, publish your page, enable the Divi Builder, and switch over to Visual Builder right away. And over here you will have 3 options, so you can start building from scratch, choose a pre-made layout, or clone an existing page. And we're going to start building from scratch, so I'll just click on this blue button over here, and I'm first going to start off by recreating the section that we're using within our design. So this is the section that I'm going to recreate, and afterwards we can clone that section and use it for all of the fluid section background images to create all of the variations that we have over here. So let's start with that. So we will need one section, and we'll use a regular section. And before adding a row or a module, we're going to open the section settings, and we'll go to the spacing settings in the design tab. And over here, we're going to remove all of the custom padding that is already there by adding 0 pixels to both the top and bottom padding. So the reason why we're removing all of the custom padding is because we want the row and the section to collide together. So we don't want any distance between the row and the section. And that's why we're removing this right here, but we'll add custom padding later on when we create the row. So, okay. Time to start adding the row that we need. So we'll need the following column structure, just one column over here. And before adding any modules, open the row settings, go to the sizing settings over here. And as I've mentioned before, we're going to equalize the section and the row. So we're going to give them the same proportions. And we'll do that by enabling the make this row full width option and enabling use custom gutter width over here and selecting 1. So this will allow the row to take up the entire width of the screen. And then we'll go to the spacing settings, and over here we're going to add some custom padding. So we'll start off with the row padding, and for this we'll need 312 pixels for both the top and the bottom. And we'll also add some left and right padding to this column, and we'll use 50 pixels. And this will just make sure that everything looks good on tablet and phone as well. Okay, so now we can start adding our modules. So the first module we'll need is a text module. We're going to use a heading and a paragraph as well. So go ahead and add a text module and add your heading next. So this is going to be my heading. And you can play around with the content that appears here as well. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And then I'll go to the heading settings over here, and I'll go to the second heading, and I'm going to make some changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is use Montserrat as my font. And I'll also use ultra bold over here. I'm going to give it a white color, and I'll change the text size according to the different screen sizes. So 82 pixels for desktop, 60 pixels for tablet, and 40 pixels for phone. I'll also change the line height to 1.4 over here. Then I'll go to the text settings, and I'm going to use a white color here as well. And I'm going to increase the text size to 16 pixels, and I'll use 1.9 for the text line height, and I'll also use center text orientation over here. So at the moment we can't see any of our text appear, so that will change once we add the fluid background image and the gradient background. But I'll just add a light gray color for the moment so you can see everything happen on the screen. And then we'll also change the sizing of this module. So we're going to use 58 pixels, and we're going to center it on desktop, and we'll use 100 on tablet and phone. Okay, so now we can add our next module, so that'll be the last one as well, and that's some button module. So go ahead and search for button over here and change the text to whatever you want. Then go to the design tab and to the alignment settings over here and choose center button alignment. Then we'll change the appearance of our button by enabling the use custom styles for button option over here. And we're going to change the text size into 18 pixels. We'll use a black button text color, a white button background color. We're going to remove all of the button border width, and we'll also remove all of the border radius over here. We'll decrease the letter spacing by 1, and we'll also use Montserrat for the bottom font and make it ultra bold and uppercase as well. And then we'll go to the spacing settings, and we'll add some space between the previous module and this module by adding 25 pixels to the top margin. All right, so here we have the result. So now we can start adding the different fluid background images and combine them with gradient background. So I'm just going to save this. And we're going to have 10 different results. So to do that, I'm just going to clone this section 9 times so we can get started right away. So I'll just click on this 9 times really quick. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So this is the first one that we have over here, and we're going to add the section gradient background first. So it doesn't really matter that we have this gray background color because a gradient background is added on top of it. So let's add a gradient background. And the first one we're going to add is the following one. So we'll use this color, this black color as our first gradient color, and then we'll use the following color code for our second color. So you can find all of the color codes and all of these steps in the blog post, which I have mentioned in the description below. If you don't want to look at the color codes on the screen, it might be easier for you to go ahead and copy all of those color codes and create your own end result. And then we're going to keep the gradient type as linear, and we'll change the gradient direction and the end position as well. Okay, so now we can add the fluid background image. So I'll just add it to my media, and I'm going to choose the first one over here. Going to upload it, then I'll scroll down and I'll use the actual size of my image, and I'm going to make sure that the background image position is center over here. All right, so now you can notice that the text isn't quite readable because of the background image, but we're going to change that by opening the row settings over here and going to the gradient background of our rows. So we're able to add another gradient background on top of everything that we have. So this will appear right below the text, but above the section background, and this will give a very nice design. So it will help us blend in different gradient colors and maintain our text as readable. So go ahead and add a gradient background to your row, and the first color we'll need over here is a slightly transparent color, so this will allow the section background colors and image to show through. And then we'll scroll down over here and we'll use radial as the gradient type. And as you can see, a slightly darker color has been added below the row, and it blends in well with the section background, and it helps us keep the text readable. So this is the first result that we got. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is the second one that we're going to create, and there's another variation, which is number 3. It's a slightly different fluid background image, but it is really good as well. So we'll use both of them with the same kind of settings to create the design. All right, so the first thing we're going to do again is open the section settings, go to the gradient background over here and add a new one. And these are the 2 color codes that we'll need. So again, you can find all of these color codes in the blog post, which I've mentioned in the description below, or you can just take them by reading it off the screen. And then we'll scroll down and we'll add 137 degrees and 48% to the start position. And we can now add the background image. So we have 2 variations, as I've mentioned before. Let me just search for them. So we have a fluid style 2 and fluid style 3. As you can see, they're slightly different, but we're using the same gradient background color to create them. And so I'll just upload the second one over here. And I'm going to use the actual size of the background image. And I'm going to make sure that the background image position is center, but you can play around with these as well if you want to. You can create any kind of design you want using these fluid background images, but I'll just use center. All right. And then we're going to add the row gradient on top of it. So again, open the row settings, go to the gradient options over here, and we're going to use this color as our first color. And then we'll use a completely transparent color. And again, we're going to choose radial as the gradient type. And this is the end result. So I'll just clone this section and add the other image as my background image, just to show you what the variation looks like. So this is the third example. So this is the first one, the second one, the third one. So now we can move on to the fourth one, and that's the following one. And over here, again, we're going to open these section settings and go to the gradient background, add a new gradient background. We're going to use the following color codes for our gradient background. So again, you can find them in the blog post or read them off the screen. And I'm going to use 137 degrees and 48% for the start position. And then we'll add the background image. So I can find it over here, or you can upload it from the folder that you've downloaded from the blog post. And again, use the actual size of the image and center as the background image position. And on top of the section, we're going to add a row gradient background as well. So this is the first color we'll need, and then we'll need a completely transparent color here as well. And we'll change this to radial. All right, so this is the result. And let's move on to the next one, which is the following one. Again, open the section settings, go to the gradient background. Add the following colors. Use 137 degrees for the gradient direction and 48% for the start position. Then you can go ahead and upload the fluid background image, which is the following one in this case, and choose the actual size of it. And on top of it, we're going to add a gradient background here as well. This is the first color that we're using, and then a completely transparent color again. And we'll choose radial as the gradient type over here. So this is the next example that we've created. Let's move on to the next one, which is the following one. Again, we're going to open the section settings, go to the gradient background. We'll use the following color codes. We'll change the gradient direction. But feel free to play around with all of these gradient backgrounds just to create your own desired result. You can explore all of these options and create amazing results if you just play around with all of the settings until you're satisfied. Okay, then we're going to add the fluid background image as well. Choose the actual size, and we'll add a row gradient background on top of it. This is the first color, and then we have a completely transparent color, and we'll change the gradient type into radial. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is the following one. Open the section settings, go to the gradient background, use the following color codes. Change the gradient direction. Then add the fluid background image, which is the following one over here. Choose the background image's actual size, and over here, change it to top right to push the image to the right corner. And we'll also add a row gradient using the following colors. So this is our first color, and then we have a completely transparent color again, and we'll change the gradient type into radial. All right, let's move on to the next example, which is the following one. Open the section settings again, go to the gradient tab, and use the following two colors. Scroll down, change the gradient direction. Then add the fluid background image, which is the following one over here. Choose the actual size of the image and place it in the top left corner. Then to make the text more readable, we're going to add a gradient background to our row as well. So this is the first color that we're using, and then again we're using a completely transparent color as well, and we'll change the gradient type into radial. So this looks much better, much more readable, and I like the combination of the different colors that you have over here, the different gradient colors, more than two. So if you play around with the row settings and the section settings, you can definitely combine several gradient colors with each other to create a stunning end result. And let's move on to the following one, which is this one. And we're going to open the section settings again, add a gradient background. We'll use the following two colors. Then we'll add the background image. And we're going to choose cover for the background image size, so it will be connected to both the left and the right side. And we'll keep the background image position as center. And we'll add a row gradient as well. So this is the first color, and then we'll use a completely transparent color as well and change the gradient type. All right, so we can move on to the last example, which is the following one. And we'll start off by opening the section settings. Again, we're going to add a gradient background. And we're using the following two color codes. We'll change the gradient direction and the start position as well. And we're going to add the first one of the fluid background images, which is the following one over here. So we have another one as well, and this one will add to the row instead to be able to combine both of them in the same section. So I'll just upload this and choose the actual size over here and place it in the top left corner. And then I'll open the row settings, and I'll start off by adding a gradient to my row as well. This is the first color we're using, and then again a fully transparent color, and we'll change the gradient type into radial. And then we can add the second one to the bottom right over here. So we'll choose the other one, and we're going to change the background image size to actual size, and we'll place it in the bottom right corner. Okay, so now that we've gone through all the steps, let's take a final look at our end result. So this is the result that we achieved on desktop. And of course, you can create your own variations using your own gradient backgrounds and row gradient backgrounds to create the result that you had in mind. And this is what we have on tablet. And last but not least, this is the mobile view. Well, that was all for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe to all our social media channels so you'll get a notification every time we have something new for you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.